Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, so yesterday was a pretty interesting day. Okay, Ray, appreciate it, appreciate it. Glad you all can hear me okay. All right, thank you all for joining. Today is live pre-market prep session. All right. Actually, let me update this welcome screen. All right, cool. So currently Tesla is down 0.30%. 0.30%, and which is interesting because we're going to take a look at that. I'm going to take a look at a couple of things. We'll look at scheduled news, like I always talk about, um, scheduled red or orange folder news that could positively or negatively impact the market, and as well as Tesla. And then we'll take a look at Tesla specific news. There was quite a bit of news that dropped over the weekend and yesterday that caused the stock price of Tesla to increase quite a bit, even after earnings fell short. And this is what I talked about in the last week in the previous pre-market preps. As I said that, hey, I know that Tesla fell short on its earnings, but I also showed that this has happened plenty of times before, and the stock still moved up. And so you just have to be attuned or abreast to the news that's taking place because Tesla is one of those particular unicorn stock companies that will move just based on news alone. And that's exactly what it did yesterday. But I want to do a really quick recap on my trade yesterday, and then we'll jump right into the scheduled news and Tesla specific news. And then after that, I'll talk about my strategy or what I expect from Tesla coming into today. All right. There's an echo. Let me see. How about now? Is there still an echo? Is there still an echo? Is the audio better? Let me know if the audio is still an issue. It's good? Okay, cool. All right, so yesterday I was trading live with my mentor, and there was a couple of things that took place. I did mention this in the pre-market prep that I believe Tesla was going to take off. Um, but what I was looking for specifically, I didn't end up trading Tesla because it started out heavy. And I talked about this in the pre-market prep yesterday as well. It started out very heavy. Sellers stepped in aggressively and pushed the price down right at the open. And so the company that did show relative strength was AMD right at the open. And so what I ended up doing was trading AMD, traded the cheaper contracts as I've been testing for the past couple of months, and I will continue testing them into August. All right. But yeah, so I traded AMD and I made $500. I made $500 in 7 seconds. Okay, 7 seconds. And this is what, obviously, minus fees here once I enter it into my journal, minus the brokerage platform fees. Um, my net my net gain was $445 and change. But I did this in 7 seconds, and I want to quickly talk about. Just do a quick recap to show you how that took place. All right, so let me pull up the chart here. If I go to AMD, let me make sure you all can see this. Let me go back to yesterday and zoom in. Okay, so On AMD, here's what happened right at the open. You can see, let me activate my drawing tool here. You can see that right at the open, I'm on the 1 minute time frame, by the way. So that means every candle here that you see is 1 minute or 60 seconds in duration. So candle one, two, three, four, five. This is the first five candles right at the open yesterday. All right. So this is what I was looking for from Tesla. If Tesla would have done this, I would have traded Tesla yesterday, but AMD was the first company that was showing this relative strength right at the open. Okay. And so if I show you how we draw up key levels just very quickly, right? I'm going to show you how we do this. Um, for the breakout and retest strategy, I use the opening range. Um, and that's the first 5 minutes. So you could use the pre-market, you could use the first 5 minutes after the open, or you can use the first 15 minutes. So if we count out, like I just did, the first 5 minutes after the open, we'll mark this out. Okay, that would represent the 5 minute high. Then we'll mark out the lowest point, the price either started or dropped within the first 5 minutes. And this will represent the 5 minute low. So, as I mentioned, as always, for the breakout and retest strategy, what we're looking for is a break in either direction. So it just depends on the direction the stock wants to go, and we don't care as options traders. We don't care which direction. We can make money either way. So in this case, yesterday, AMD broke out toward the upside. So we were waiting for the breakout and then the retest, and then the retest. So this is a textbook breakout and retest, right? So we wait for that breakout and then for sellers to step in and try to push the price back towards the 5 minute high or whatever the key level is. Again, this could be for the first 15 minutes or 5 minutes, pre-market or what have you, right? But yeah, so using the first 5 minutes, this is the 5 minute high. We had a perfect retest back towards the 5 minute high. And again, I said it doesn't have to touch the key level. This is considered the key level of pricing zone. Think $1 or $2 above and below, right? Just consider it as a range. Doesn't have to touch this key level perfectly. That's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for a retest back near, at, or slightly below that level. Okay. And so, with that said, once this happened, I talked about the other condition that I look for to determine my entry. I'm not using any EMAs for those of you who are familiar with trading. These three lines that you see here, I'm not using any EMAs to determine my entry or exit. Okay. For the breakout and retest strategy, they are not necessary. They are not necessary at all. But I do have them enabled. Um, but I do not use them to determine my entry and exits for this strategy. The breakout and retest strategy does not need them. Okay. So anyway, what I like to enter when I like to enter my trades is considered the low risk entry points. All right, low risk entry points, and there's risk involved with that, and I'm going to explain why. Typically, the breakout and retest strategy, one of the conditions that you're looking for is to wait for buyers and sellers to step in aggressively to push the price up. This is your sign that there may be continuation toward the upside. All right, this is your sign. And I showed this yesterday in a mock trade how this would look. You'll see these candles form very, very quickly, very, very quickly. And as that's happening, you can decide to jump into that trade. Now, the reason why I would not wait till the close of this candle, although you can, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there is a possibility that you will experience an immediate drawdown on your position. So, for example, if your initial position for this trade was $100. I'm just using a nice round number as an example. If your initial position was $100, at the entry, at your entry, the close of this candle here, you could have experienced a brief drawdown on your position. It could be anywhere between 10, 15, 20 percent, um, because what could happen is that sellers could have immediately pushed the price lower on the following candle. That didn't happen on the following candle. It did happen three candles later. So you would have experienced this, probably would have been like a, if I zoom in to make sure you all can see that clearly. Let me switch this for just a second, pull it down so we can see more real estate. So you would have experienced the wick on this candle here. If you had entered on the close of this candle, this wick would have took you down maybe 1 to 3%, possibly. So in this scenario, we didn't have much drawdown after the entry if you would have decided to enter your position at the close of this candle or near the close of this candle. I entered on this candle here. Okay. It's this cross like candle. All right. I entered here. And when I entered, I did experience a brief drawdown on my position. I bought 20. Wait, how many contracts did I buy? Let me double check that. I think I bought, let me double check. Yeah, I did. I bought 20 contracts yesterday for AMD. So I bought 20 contracts here, right? And I did experience a brief drawdown on that position. Now, my 20 contracts, each contract, I talk about that this is a cheaper contract, right? So each contract cost $123. I just ended up buying 20 of them because I talked about this. That is the goal. So my total entry cost was 2.4K, and I ended up making 2.9, right? 2.9 at as it after everything was said and done. Okay. So again, you could have just bought one if that's all you could have afforded. Was one contract of $123. If you could have bought more, then you would have done so. But the point is that I did experience a drawdown once I entered this position at this low risk point. And why do I consider this low risk? Well, based on the relative strength that we had on the breakout, and if you look at the strength of these candles or the size of this uh, bullish green candle, you can see that we have this one, we have this one, and we have this one, right? All right, so, and then if you look at the down close candles, which represents the sellers, all right, all these purple candles here represents the sellers. These candles are very, very small, right? So there wasn't much resistance from the sellers. So I decided to go ahead and enter my position here. And it's low risk because my risk is this key level, the 5-minute high. My risk is a close below the 5-minute high. So if for whatever reason the next candle would have been sellers stepping in aggressively to push the price lower, remember, price can only go in two directions, up or down. If sellers would have stepped in instead of buyers stepping in, obviously that wasn't the case. Buyers stepped in. But if sellers had stepped in and pushed the price lower and we closed below, remember, I'd be looking for a close below, from that would have been my stop loss limit, the 5-minute high. A break below and a closure below the 5-minute high would have been my stop limit for this entry. Okay. If that had happened, then I would have suffered, no more than 10% of my position. I like to keep it within 1 to 4%, but no greater than 10%. But I like these low risk entries because I can capture more of the gain if, um, I'm closer to the stop loss limit. I like this versus entering here. I'm closer to the stop loss limit, which is the 5-minute high in this case. I'm closer to the stop loss limit at this entry on this candle than I would be at this candle. So if you were to enter at the close of this candle, then your stop loss limit or your risk amount would be greater because the stop loss would be down here, right? I like these lower risk entry points because I don't have to sit through too much risk. Okay. I don't have to suffer too much risk. All right. But when I entered this position, I did suffer a brief drawdown of, I believe the high was $75. $75. I think I reached as high as 3.5, maybe 4%. But as you can see on that following candle, man, it took off. And this is when I made the $500. So in 7 seconds, because speed and momentum, that's the key. So I felt like that momentum was going to continue based on what I saw in the open and the low resistance from sellers in the previous candles. And so my thesis was correct, and I ended up making 500 in 7 seconds. So I didn't even sit through the entire the entire candle, the entire 60 seconds. Within 7 seconds, once I hit that target, I scaled out of 19 of the 20 contracts and secured my profit. Okay. So as you can see here, if I zoom in, 848 is when I got in. 848 and change is when I got in. Now the journal can't even capture that, so it has to do it in the same, like a minute later based on that entry. I think I put in 849, but it was 7 seconds. If I showed you in the actual brokerage account, then you see it was just 7 seconds. But I sold it 7 seconds later, 19 contracts 7 seconds later. And then after that, I left one trailing contract here. And once I started to lose money on this trailing contract, that's when I exited the entire position. All right. So that was just a brief recap of the trade from yesterday. All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? Let me take a brief pause. What's up, Nikki, Nicole? I see you, Grand Rising. Appreciate you. Glad you're here. Let me scroll up. Let's see, make sure I don't miss any questions here. Appreciate you all. Susanna, what's up? Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Appreciate you. LJ, what's up? I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, coach, what are those lines, EMAs or SMA? Yeah, exactly. I don't use them. So you can ignore those. I do have them enabled, but I do not use them for the breakout and retest strategy. They are not necessary at all. So yeah, you can ignore those. Susanna, yep, I said good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you all for joining. Crypto Epps, what's up, man? Appreciate the follow. Appreciate the love and support. User, what's good, man? How you doing? It's good. It's good. It's good. Let's see. All right, so cool. I fixed the echo. All right, it looks like I got everybody. Ray, what's going on? How you doing? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so yeah, let's continue. So next, let's go ahead and talk about, let's look at any scheduled red and orange folder news that could potentially impact the market coming into today. If you all have any questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat. All right, so Forex Factory. Forex Factory is where we go to check out scheduled red and orange folders. And we have a couple that's on the schedule today that's going to drop. But right now, we don't have anything coming into the open today, all right, which is good. And we do have some at 9 a.m. So we have red and orange folder news dropping at 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m., or excuse me, 10 a.m. Eastern. All right. So the job openings is the red folder and consumer confidence is the orange folder news. So we'll keep an eye out on that coming into the market today. You definitely want to stay abreast on this particular type of news because it could negatively or positively impact your position if you're in one. But it could impact the direction of the market. All right. So you either want to be in before that happens, in and out before that happens, or wait until the news drop and then determine if you still want to enter your trade or not. All right. The next scheduled red folder news drops at 8:30 p.m., but we'll be long gone before that if you are day trading. All right, if you are day trading. Let's see. So next, let's go ahead and take a look at Tesla specific news. All right, currently we are down 0.21% in the pre-market for Tesla. Yesterday, Tesla took off to the moon, 325 and change, almost $10 move. If I jump back over to Tesla, I'll pull up Tesla, I'll show you why I did not enter that trade yesterday. Let me reset this. Boom. All right. I'll show you why I did not. Tesla took off, man. It was crazy. It was crazy. All right, so I'm going to show you why I did not trade Tesla yesterday. So if I zoom in, this is the open. I'm on a 1 minute time frame, which means every candle is 60 seconds in duration. This candle here, this purple down close candle here, is why I did not enter the trade for Tesla, because it started out very, very heavy. After the first candle, sellers stepped in aggressively to push the price down. And so I was waiting for Tesla. The first two candles, I didn't like the third and fourth candle. So I was like, I don't know, because you could have a retest and then continuation towards the downside. And this would, if we count out the first five candles, like I showed you in the AMD trade, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the first five candles. So we're heavy. We're heavy, right? After the first five candles, if we're using the first five candles, like I said, you could use the pre-market as your levels. You could use the first 5 minutes or first 15 minutes or the previous day high and low. The previous day high and low is this green candle here. That's the previous day high. And this is the previous day low. But first five candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the low point. This is the high point. So we're still within range. So it didn't do anything just yet. And if you count out these candles, it didn't do anything until what? Almost 8:45 Central, 9:45 Eastern. So 45 minutes later. But you saw that I took a trade at 8:48. So as soon as like almost 15 minutes after the market opened, AMD was showing strength. So I jumped into that trade and made an 18% return on my investment, right? 18%. So you don't have, that's what I said. I have my primary target is always Tesla. But if Tesla doesn't do anything, then I'll scan the other options like AMD, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta, and so forth. And so that's what I did. But now Tesla coming until today. So, or anyway, hold on, let me go back. Tesla did take off, right? Look at this. So if we draw out this key level, this is the 5 minute high. So once we broke above the 5 minute high, we still had a almost textbook breakout and retest, right? Back towards the 5 minute high, as you can see here. This was nice. This was nice. If we look at this entry, you could have made, let's see the highest point the stock rose, because it rose pretty high. All right, so if you entered in on this candle at 321 here, this is 321 and change. All right, the highest point was 330. So yeah, you would have captured an $8 to $9 move. $8 to $9 move. That would have been very, very significant. If I would have traded Tesla yesterday, I was looking for relative strength right out the gate, right at the open, and then a pullback to the 5 minute high. And then I would have looked to enter my position on relative strength for, continuation toward the upside, right? And I was looking to take an even larger position, maybe 10 to 50K, anywhere between 10 to 50K, because I wanted to capitalize on that move. It just took too long to happen, right? And I just so happened to AMD presented itself, so I took that trade instead. But yeah, this was a nice push after let's see, 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock is when this happened. a little after 9, right? 5 minutes after 9. That's when this happened. So that's what I would have had to wait for in order to enter this position. But I was busy answering questions and all that other good stuff. So I didn't get a chance to capture this trade. It just took too long in the opening. So I missed it. But that was a nice move. So anyway, coming into today, the pre-market, we're down 21.21%. All right. So let's take a look at Tesla specific news. Again, I'm in Trading View. I'm just going to click on the news tab here to check out Tesla specific news and see what's going on. Let's see if we have any headlines that is of importance or significance. Okay, so let me do a quick scan. Let's see, Samsung 16.5 billion Tesla coup comes with caveats. Let's take a look at that really quick. Tesla stock is rising. The post earnings dip is almost erased. Yeah, so if we take a look now, what's happening? Am I losing? Do I have too many apps open? Hold on. Give me a second. I think I'm having. Let me stop sharing. Hold on. Let me refresh my browser. I think I had too many tabs.